Coming up next on the Union Label will be a conversation with Jeff Wiggins and Francis Willey. Our topic will be the city's 2010 Labor Day program. Welcome back. I'm Barry Craig. It's that time of the year again when Francis and Jeff come and visit with us and tell us what's on tap for the 2010 Labor Day program. 3-day program like the old days. Mm-hmm. So who wants to begin and tell us what we can expect?
Go ahead.
Well, this is our 35th celebration in Paducah, and we are back to 3 days this year. We're going to try that. We have several things in mind that we think that people are going to enjoy this year. We've all worked hard at it. We have Confederate Railroad coming in on September the 4th, and they'll be playing from 2 till 4 in the afternoon. We have.
So that'll be, is that Saturday the 4th?
That's Saturday
right.
the 4th. We were lucky, I guess, to get them at that date. But then on, we have a Craig Russell Band and Tony Hogue, I believe.
Tony Lowe Band. They
will be playing before and after the Confederate Railroad. And then on Sunday, we have 2 gospel groups from Murray coming in to play, sing after church services on the 5th. And on September the 6th is our Labor Day Parade. We march from 2nd Street to 17th and disband at 17th. We get most of them out there, and our president here, Mr. Wiggins, he will be introducing the floats and the winners and passing out our winners for our floats. He'll be introducing our Master of Ceremonies this year, which is Larry Sanderson again this year. We think always does a good job.
He's kind of a quiet fellow, though, isn't he?
Oh, yes, yes. He really knows how to do this.
Oh, he does.
He does a good job.
I remember the first time I heard Larry, I was at a Labor Day picnic many years ago and had gone to get a Sprite to cool off, and I heard this tremendous oratory, and I stopped. Didn't even get my Sprite. I went back to, who is that? And I didn't know Larry could speak like that, but he is a powerful speaker, very good speaker.
He's a pro.
He is
really
indeed.
Is. Yes.
He is indeed.
So he'll be, Larry will be our Master of Ceremonies, as I said, and we do have our political speakers, and we have quite a list this year because we do have several that are running, and they will all be up there on the stage. Those that cannot attend have sent different ones to stand in for them, to speak for them. So we'll have that, but we have the music again with the Craig Russell Band and
Tony Lowe.
Tony Lowe.
Mm-hmm.
But we have our flea market and our arts and crafts. We have our concessions out there. We have 4 different concessions participating this year. And some of them, one we had last year, Magic Valley Barbecue, B&C Concessions from Mayfield, who's been with us for several years. And then we have Dream Factory. And then we have a couple from Mayfield that's coming over here. That'll be their first time. And hopefully Dippin' Dots. So we do have a full-time program planned for all 3 days. And it's almost here and almost over. Mm-hmm.
And how much does all this cost?
Well, I pay the bills.
No, I meant for people to see it.
Free.
Free.
It's all free.
Best free show in town.
Yeah.
Yes, and I have had several long-distance calling, asking about the Confederate Railroad. How do I get a ticket? How much does it cost? And when you tell them that it's free, they act like they're beside themselves. They cannot believe because they're used to paying for these shows, this entertainment. But everything we do is free out there. The only thing we don't is our concessions, our food concessions.
Right. And of course, the committee, the Labor Day committee, it's all dependent upon donations.
Right.
Yes.
Everything.
From individuals, from unions, from business people, interested parties. The whole thing is fundraising.
Mm-hmm. And they do a good job. They really come through good too. Without them, we couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
The
parade, I think 1 or 2 years ago, it was a record parade. You all expecting units?
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be about the same size that it always is. See, you never know about some of the entries because they may end up and they may be a block long for one entry. And I think we have the same amount of entries that we've had in the years past. And it's just, it's been a wonderful experience. I have told the committee, though, that this is my last year of chairing the committee, but I will be there to assist in any way. And I tell you, Hired Dawes puts on the best, he runs the best parade. He's the best parade director that we've ever had, and he's also one of the best that does that. And the city's even asked him if he'd be interested in assisting with their other parades, but of course they can't afford him.
Right. Now the high school bands will be back, of course.
I think the only one that's not going to be able to come is there's some conflict with the director of one of the county high school bands for some kind of personal reasons. There are some things going on. We would love to have other cities participate. We'd love to have Ballard County participate. We'd love to have Mayfield participate, Graves County, Marshall County. We've always sent an invite out to these bands, but normally it's just the county high schools and the city and the ROTC, and we give those bands $350 to participate because it takes a lot of money to start those buses up to get them down there, and whatever they got left over, then we're happy to give them a little money. We used to give a $500 scholarship along with $150, but I think the last 2 years, me and Francis decided we'd rather just give the money up front to the bands because as a band parent, like you know, I was a pit boss for Reedland's high school band for years, and it costs a lot of money to do things, and it takes a lot of money, and it takes a lot of volunteers to do things on that too.
Indeed it does. Indeed it does. Going back on the history of the parade, I think the first parade was 1893, which was 11 years after the first Labor Day parade in New York in 1882. Mm-hmm. And then the parades, they stopped after World War II, and I've never been able to determine why. Do you all know?
I really don't know. I really don't know, but when they started
they carried through, and then it was in 75 that they were restarted. They were fired up again. And who were the folks who were responsible for getting that started again?
People like Harold Lovin, an old pipe fitter from Local 184. He was instrumental in getting that parade started back up, and he's one of the ones on the mural down there in the flood wall. And there's a lot of other folks, B.J. Bond, I think Glenn Dowdy, and some others were instrumental in getting that started. But they used to go around and collect from local unions, have somebody go around and meet with them, and they used to have a nice program. I've actually seen some of the older Labor Day programs.
They're really elaborate.
Has
he does. In fact, Larry showed me one from 1943,
yes,
an anniversary program, and it was really well done. It's about that thick. It's like a high school football program. And Fred Newman, who sort of a local historian, he was in the typographical union, and he wrote a really nice introduction to it. Larry also has something to go back to the 19-teens. And several years ago, there was a Miss Labor Day contest, and a woman, I remember when I worked for the newspaper, interviewed her. She was in her 80s, and she had been Miss Labor Day back in the 1900s and something. And there was a big celebration. Now, I believe it was just one day back then, though. I don't think it was 3 days like it is now.
Well, I'm gonna proclaim Francis to be Miss Labor Day this year since it's my last one, and I don't actually run the program. I get to make a few decisions. Miss Francis has run this program for me like a faithful, loyal person to me, and she has done good. Now, when she has questions, she doesn't hesitate to call, and I appreciate that. And we can work through these decisions. Some young people have joined the committee, and I'm looking forward to maybe some new ideas and some bright ideas. Actually, this was a pipe fitter named Leonard. He's the one that come up with having the big band on Saturday to draw more of a crowd. And we're really hoping this works out good and build that program back up where it was, and draw in some tourism to the county, and maybe draw people from other states and the rest of the state, you know, in here.
I can remember a few years ago when it was the official AFL-CIO State Labor Day Parade back some years ago, and that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Other parades, are there in other cities? Does Louisville have one?
Louisville doesn't have a parade. They do
Have a picnic.
Labor Day at the zoo, picnic at the zoo.
Right.
And in Ashland, Kentucky, I think they have a Labor Day parade. I don't know if they're having one this year or not. I know in Henderson, they have such a big Labor Day festivity over in Evansville and that area over there. They actually have a carnival and demolition derby and all that.
Oh,
so
wow.
they have a big program over there. But we're proud to have our own parade here and things here. And I don't think in Northern Kentucky, I think they join with Cincinnati's Labor Day festivities.
Right.
But
none of them are 3 days, to your knowledge.
no, not
No.
that I know of.
Yeah.
No.
How did that get started, the 3-day idea? Because that's a lot of work.
Well, it's always, since I've been in it, since '97, it's always been 3 days. And then we dropped 3 years ago,
Yeah.
I think, to 1 day to try, because our competition around surrounding territories, we fell off. So we decided we'd try 1 day, and it just didn't pan out. So we've tried this 3-day again, and we've had a lot of suggestions, and we've taken them and we've tried to use all of them, and hopefully it will really help bring this thing back to 3 days, because there is a lot of work and time that goes into this.
Yeah. Now, you'll actually start planning for the 2011 program pretty soon afterwards, won't you?
What we have in the past, yes.
We usually start meeting, we usually call it, we have one meeting after Labor Day to approve everything we've spent in the books, and have a meeting to, you got to approve everything. And then usually we don't start back again until the first of the year. It's been a joy to be able to be involved with stuff like this, and so many good people that you're involved with, and spending a lot of time with Miss Francis. We'd come and we'd meet down at the hall on Fridays or Saturdays or something. When I had a day off, we'd go down there and go over the books, and we'd go over what we're going to spend, how much money we got left. I'd always ask her, I said, well, how much money we got? And she'd tell me, and then I'd rough figure everything out, and I said, well, this is what we're going to have left. You sure we're going to have enough money for this? And we're spending a little money, but I wanted to invite people to be a part of this. We meet on the second Tuesday of every month at the area council at 5 o'clock, and you don't have to be a member of a union. You don't have to be even have a family member that's in the union, but we like to have union folk. We have non-union folk, and we just get together and plan out our Labor Day festivities and try to find ways to raise money to keep this going. So anybody that's interested, probably in the first of the year, the fourth Tuesday, we'll be meeting at the area council at 1202 South 4th Street.
Now, Francis, people start calling about the next year almost as soon as this year is done.
I've already had that, and I told Jeff, I said I already had a couple of letters already, people wanting in next year's celebration.
And hadn't had this one yet.
No. And I even had one that got the two parades mixed up. They thought this was the Christmas parade.
Oh.
But it didn't take long to explain to them. They were confused. And really, they're in the parade, Labor Day parade. So, so they needed to know their number. We've got their lineup number.
Right.
And I said, I have your number right now. Let me tell you what it is to help them.
Right.
But it's nonstop. It's not stop. We do have a little leeway in between, and we look forward to that.
Now the floats. When do people start working on the floats?
Some of them, it's like a year-round thing that they do. Some of the places, they have a place where they keep the float and they work on it. Our theme this year is remembering the past while protecting the future. It's all about protecting good jobs. That's what Labor Day is about. People thinking about people that went before and did good works to protect the middle class of this country. And we're just you know, and some of them will be doing their floats this weekend, or like some of them bring their stuff down there and they actually do it the day of. They put their stuff together there, so you know, it's.
One of the interesting things about the floats is a lot of them represent the crafts. For example, I know one of them I really liked. It has a big toolbox. The whole thing is a big toolbox.
Sheet metal workers.
Right. And then I think that the plumbers, they've got various things. They're really interesting to how they reflect the crafts involved in that. And I wonder if they stored them year round. You've got to have a pretty good sized place to park.
Some of them do.
Some of them do. I think the pipe fitters last year was their 110th anniversary, and it was kind of a nice thing.
And oftentimes the pipe fitters, they have their own T-shirts. They march in a different color T-shirt.
Right.
Really
A lot of the different unions have their own T-shirts and march in the parade with their T-shirts.
Well, now are they still going to have the candy, the tossing of the candy? They're still going to be doing
Well,
that?
we'd like for them to hand it out because you know there's an ordinance with the city that you really not supposed to toss the candy off the float. We can control them as long as they're there with us, but when they get on down the block, it's kind of hard. But we'd like for them just to hand the candy out, you know, so nobody gets an eye poked out or you don't get some on the street and a kid tries to come out and get it and gets run over by one of the floats or something. It's all about safety too.
One of my fondest memories of the Labor Day parade was when our son was about, I don't know, 3 or 4. We were down there and he was getting candy and he had stuffed his pants full, his pockets, and he took my baseball cap and he filled it with candy. And I've got a picture of him standing out there barefoot and dirty feet and just having a big time with it. And we graduated from high school in the spring, but he said he was going to come and video this parade. So he's gone from collecting candy to videoing it. So, but it was a lot of fun. I still have that picture of him doing that way back when. And one of the things I too also enjoy seeing are the union retirees. A lot of the carpenters, I know they'll sit up there. But you've got a nice mix. I've seen babies in arms as well as retirees, and that's a really nice mix for the thing. It's a really good program. Now since this is an election year, lots of hot races out there. Who do we have that's committed that will be coming to speak in the park? Now the parade itself starts at 9:30.
Yes.
And
they ask those people to be down there at 8:30 because it takes time to get those floats in line. But the parade does start at 9:30.
Now there also are judges.
Yes, we have 3
judges. Who are the 3 judges?
The 3 judges is Larry Johnson, Gladys Morphew, and Wayne Chambers.
Okay, yeah. Well, now Gladys and Larry have done it for quite a while.
They have done it the last 2 years.
Is Wayne new?
Wayne was new last year.
Last year.
Right.
Last year.
It was Ken Tyler did it for a while, didn't he?
Ken Tyler did it for a while. Linda Downing has done it, but we try to keep it, you know, union judges.
We give out 12 plaques from the Labor Day Committee, and then I give one from the Area Council, which we named last year the Lewis Hicks Award.
Right. So, and then the program in the park. The first thing in the park will be the awarding of the plaques.
That's
about what time will that be?
12 o'clock.
12 o'clock.
12 o'clock.
Yeah.
We hope.
And then the politicians will start speaking at
hopefully at 12:30.
Hopefully at 12:30. Now, do you limit the politicians and how much time they can?
Yeah,
we say 5 minutes. But
we say 5 minutes, but I may cut it back to 3.
I'm sure the crowd.
Our crowd. We have a lot more this year than we have.
Yeah.
Of course, this is a bigger year too.
I know in some of these other picnics that politicians tend to go over the limit, and they actually have timekeepers I know Gerald Watkins, our city
He
commissioner.
does that everywhere he goes.
He's the official. And I always
That's
figured,
ironic. He's always the
Yeah.
one that pulls out the 5-page speech.
yes, he does. Yeah, I've seen Gerald do that many times. And of course, I always kid Gerald and say, now, of course, you know, if they go too long, that he'll put a karate chop on them. He's a black belt in karate, you know. But it is nice when the politicians try to observe that. But when they don't, that's just, well, that's not fair to the other politicians. Not fair to the crowd have to deal with that. So the lineup. Didn't you say, Francis, the governor will be represented by Labor Secretary J.R. Gray?
Yes, J.R. Gray. He is speaking in his behalf. Yes.
And Jack Conway.
I have tried to get him, but no commitment yet.
But if not, someone will represent him.
Someone. That's what I asked. If they
Right.
would, I talked to his office, and they said someone would be there to speak in his behalf.
Mm-hmm. And then I
So we
believe,
hope.
don't you have an independent candidate for governor in 2011, Gatewood Galbraith? Gatewood Galbraith always shows up for these, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Faithful.
Yeah.
Faithful.
Faithful.
Yeah, he's there.
Yes.
And assorted local politicians.
He's kind of interesting to listen to.
I think
Yeah.
interesting is a fair word to describe Gatewood. I would say so. Now, will you have any? Now, Larry will be the MC.
Yes.
In the park, and that's of
Yes.
course at Carson Park.
Yes.
At Carson Park.
And anyone else who will do the prayer, the Star Spangled
Yes,
Banner?
I have all that. Star Spangled Banner and our national anthem is Shay Nichols. Gerald Watkins is the Pledge Allegiance. Prayer, it's just Jerry Byer. I hope you approve of all this.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I would hope so. It's almost
It's
too
too
late
late
now.
now.
We're on camera. We're committed.
They've said yes, and I'm not going to say no.
Well, I'm not saying no either.
I
If
know
you've
you're
already
not.
got it done.
It's done. It is done. We're ready.
Yeah, that's
Larry,
great.
Barry, we're ready.
That's great.
And then Larry will have
Will
it.
be the MC.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
He's such a good speaker. He has such a loud voice for such a little skinny guy too, doesn't he?
It's Larry is amazing, but it's not just that his voice is loud. He is really good at engaging a crowd. And as I said, I've known Larry for years, but I had no idea he was an orator like that. And I'm telling you what, I just stopped in my tracks. And I thought, who is that?
He's like the Energizer Bunny. He just keeps
He
going
does.
and going
He
and
does.
going.
And he does a really good job with the labor luncheon and various other meetings. He's a tremendous speaker.
Well,
He's an
he
excellent
holds
MC.
those people. He holds that crowd. You don't see all of them getting up and leaving when Larry has them, because when he gets them, he keeps them.
He holds them.
Yes, he does.
He
And we very
indeed.
much appreciate
But
him
we
doing
appreciate
that.
Oh,
it.
absolutely.
That's,
Very much.
You know,
Now, the bleachers will be set up
Yes.
sort of in the shade.
Yeah.
yes.
And we hope that it won't be too.
The stage
Have
will
you
be up
ever
there
had
in
one of these rained out?
Not
No.
rained out. No, we had one last year that put us back one day, remember?
Yeah.
They wouldn't let it, they wanted us to hold off a day longer before we went in on the
To set up,
infield
yeah.
to set up.
Right.
Because
but the actual Labor Day parade,
Perfect.
it's never rained on our parades.
No,
no.
Yeah,
no.
we'll keep our fingers crossed.
Rain or shine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And look, when you come out to the park, the more money you spend with the vendors out there, especially the food vendors, the more money we make. Also, patronize the flea market and the arts and crafts. They pay us a little bit for the spot there. We don't ever charge the Dream Factory anything, because that's a very worthy cause.
sure.
And they do a lot of good work for kids,
do indeed.
and we appreciate them coming out there. And
They indeed.
we're glad we can help. you know.
Right,
Yeah.
sure. Now, who's doing the barbecue?
A Magic Valley barbecue from Benton.
Right.
Benton.
Right. And I think that's such a part of it, is this Western Kentucky
Well,
barbecue people.
You know, it's just part of anything, anywhere you go, is
Yeah.
the barbecue.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They had barbecue bologna last year, and it was
Yeah, I've had
really
that.
good.
That's pretty
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Yes, it is.
But of course, it's mostly the traditional pork, I guess.
Oh,
but,
yes. Mm-hmm.
people come for that. And it's really just a good place to kind of mix and mingle and visit and talk and have a good time.
Now, Brandon and Jill will be coming over from Metropolis. They'll be making snow cones and things like that. So we're actually going to have a little bit different flavor and some cotton candy and stuff. So we'll have a little bit. We did try to look into some things for the kids, but you only have X amount of dollars that you can spend, and we wanted to draw a crowd, so we got entertainment. And maybe next year, if the committee has more money, maybe we can get some of those inflatable things for the kids and things. It's all about money, you know, and we work off of, we don't do anything to raise money, and we work off of free gratis, and everything's free, so we're trying to keep
I think
that
that needs to be stressed, that these are not public funds. The city doesn't pay for this, the state
No.
doesn't pay for this. This is strictly a nonprofit
Yes, it is.
venture. And people depend upon the donations of people to keep this thing going.
The only thing that's free is the county gives us use of Carson Park
Well, yes,
and their
yeah,
stage,
right.
but
That's
you know,
an in-kind contribution rather than actual cash. Right. Is there anyone else that you all would like to credit who really is a behind-the-scenes person, a real mover and shaker in this?
Well, there's Greg out at Carson Park. He runs the park for the county out there. He's been a real great help for us out there, and worked with us well, and made sure that we had our bleachers set right and our tables there and our garbage barrels and everything. So he's been a great help.
And now, how long? I know I can remember when it was in Noble Park a few times, and then it was in Carson Park, and then we were talking earlier, the old park, which is at the end of the streetcar line out by where Kyler Park is now. That's where it was way back when. But Carson Park, what made you all settle on Carson Park?
Well, now remember, we had it at downtown a couple of times too.
You did. I'd forgotten about that.
Yes, we did. Carson Park is home to us. And we are well taken care of out there by so many different people. And people just think that that's where it should be. And we've had a lot of good luck with Carson Park. They help us in so many ways. And we like Carson Park.
I know Jeff is bowing out, but any ideas that you all are knocking around what the 2011 program might be? You're going to pretty well stick with the same format, or?
Going to try. We're going to see how this works this year, and then if it works well, then next year we'll, whoever's in charge, and I'll probably still be on the committee, but whoever's in charge will have a decision in that and kind of guide us in the right direction.
One thing we ought to do to kind of wrap this up is talk about the, I guess you would call them the co-grand marshals this year.
Yes.
And the grand marshal will be?
Robert Coleman. He was with the letter carriers
Right.
and also the Pullman car union.
For over 50 years. And Charles Williams.
Charles Williams, a member of ASME Local 1586-03. He was with the Housing Authority.
And they will be riding it. I know that Charles has had some health problems.
Charles is going to be the honorary grand marshal, and Robert's going to be the grand
Well,
marshal.
now will Charles ride in the parade, or?
He's going to ride with Robert. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, have you ever had a co-grand marshal before?
No.
No.
Well, that's something new and innovative this year.
Had to do something new before I left.
You do. Go out with a blaze of glory.
That's right.
Yeah.
And we'll have to go out with a blaze of glory because we're out of time. I'm Barry Craig. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.